Hi, good evening, folks. Thank you for joining me. My name is Pramila. I'm your diamond leader with doTERRA International, and today we're going to be talking about geranium, which it's one of those oils that you either love or hate. And when I first started with geranium, it was not one of my favorite oils. In fact, far from it. I found it to be extremely sweet, almost sickeningly so, and was actually very offended by it. It was overwhelming. It was intense. Didn't like it at all. And geranium, of course, I think the universe felt that I needed geranium. And while I was driving one day, I accidentally spilled geranium. I think I thought it was some other oil and opened it, and it just spilled all over my, the passenger seat in my car. And it was the dead of winter, but I still drove with the windows rolled down. That's how much I hated geranium. But it took a long time. If you smell geranium, it takes a long time for that smell to go anywhere. And so for quite a few weeks, that smell of geranium was extremely strong in my car. And I think, as I was, trying not to gag and sticking my head out of the window, some of it was kind of, affecting me. And it was interesting that, after a while that, the aroma dissipated and I wasn't smelling geranium as much anymore. And a while later, maybe about a month or so later, that whole bottle of geranium was gone and I wasn't about to replace it. But I bought myself the hydrating cream, not realizing that it had geranium in it. And I loved it. It became and is still one of my most favorite things. I bought it actually for my daughter because she had a lot of skin irritation issues, and it was very dry during the winter. And I began to I was really drawn to the way she smelled. And so I started using the hydrating cream and loved it, and then looked at it and went, holy crap, there's geranium in here. So then I tried, opened up my empty bottle of geranium and took a sniff and actually really enjoyed it. So now I use geranium pretty much neat or with just a little bit of carrier oil straight on my face. I inhale it. Actually, I have geranium actually in the palms of my hand right now. I was demonstrating during my class right now how to do a hand massage. We were using geranium. And hold on a second. Okay, so I have grown to really, really like geranium. So there are a lot of great uses for geranium. I want to start with what you can see, and if you have the emotions book, you can look at what geranium is about. So geranium restores confidence in the innate goodness of others and in the world. It facilitates trust, especially when an individual has lost trust in others due to difficult life circumstances. It also assists in reestablishing a strong bond with one's mother and father. When there has been a loss of trust in relationship, geranium encourages emotional honesty, love, and forgiveness. It fosters receptivity to human love and connection. Geranium aids in healing the broken heart. It encourages emotional honesty by facilitating the emergence of grief or pain that has been suppressed. Geranium softens anger and assists in healing emotional wounds. It assists in reopening the heart so that love may flow freely. Indeed, geranium could be called the emotional healer. Geranium is a gentle oil, perfect for babies and children. It nurtures the inner child and supports the reparenting this aspect of the self. The individual who has had a difficult time accessing their emotions can be supported by geranium, as it leads away from the logical mind and into the warmth and nurture of the heart. At its root, geranium heals the heart, instills unconditional love, and fosters trust. So negative emotions include abandonment, loss, distrusting, unforgiving, unloving, disheartened, heavy-hearted, grief. Positive properties: emotional healing, trusting, forgiving, gentle, loving, tolerant, and open. For those of you who met me through doTERRA, I will promise you I am such a different person from who I was before the essential oils. And that oil was me. It described me. I absolutely suffered from abandonment issues. I absolutely suffered from heavy grief, and I absolutely needed to rekindle and reestablish a healthier and stronger relationship with both my mother and father. Everything that Geranium described was me. And over time, the use of Geranium has absolutely come to me over and over again in every single one of those aspects. So I've got this book. It's called Essential Guide to Aromatherapy and Vibrational Healing. I want to read to you a little bit about geranium. Geranium is restorative in its balance. It helps with the chakra, right? Your navel chakra. And if you're a Cancer or a Scorpio, geranium is especially supposed to be really good and supportive of you, if that's your astrological sign, if you believe in that. The animal that geranium helps with, if you believe in Chinese astrology, is the snake. I'm a snake. And the elements are water and earth. That's also my element. So the affirmation is, my body is in constant state of restoration and healing. I find balance in my life through play, work, rest, and exercise and laughter. I easily nurture myself. I have consistent protection surrounding me, which deflects anything that is not for my highest good. So let me pause for a second and tell you a little bit about how this relates to me. I've had difficulty striking a balance. And so I was very intense, when I worked, it was like heavy, intense work. When I played, there was no, balance. And right now in my life, I really have found a great way to balance my priorities. Every day, I find that, it's easier and easier for me to have enough work, enough self-development, enough family, enough social, and when I fall lacking in that, and then I use geranium, it kind of brings me back to that. So that's something, to consider. The complementary stones, like if you like to use crystals for geranium, is bloodstone, carnelian, rhodonite, and sodalite. So geranium is a small fragrant plant. It's got brilliant, beautiful colors, and it grows to a height about 3 feet. The main component in geranium is citronal, geraniol, linalool, which is very, very powerful in its antioxidative properties, to name a few. So for spiritual uses, geranium is beneficial for personal transformation. Geranium evokes the guardians of protection, keeping away negative energy, if you believe in that. Uses of geranium oil you can use it to connect to the spiritual power of the sun as a source of nourishment for your soul, and the moon in understanding life cycles. So what does that mean? We all go through seasons in our life, in our year. Like sometimes we go through a season of great growth, and then other times we go through a season of quiet, of healing. It doesn't mean that we are lazy or inconsistent. It's just like, as the weather is, we have seasons, right? And we need to allow ourselves those seasons of activity, of growth, of discovery, of rest, of quiet. So geranium kind of gives you permission, or helps facilitate your acceptance of that. This oil is ideal for connecting with the Archangel Raphael to restore and rejuvenate on all levels. So it's also really good to deter jealousy and negative forces. So if you have people in your life that, attack you, or you feel like there's a little bit of a jealousy, or like that tension, you using geranium helps repel that. So from a brain perspective, geranium helps focus on something that's important when your thoughts are scattered. So if you need to find answers, and you feel torn and you don't know which direction to go, geranium paired with vetiver will really help you kind of figure some of these thought processes out. It's calming, and it helps you sort out your thoughts. By making it your intention to change your mind, geranium helps cancel out angry, vindictive, and negative thoughts. It's also helpful to inhale geranium as you give yourself affirmations of love. It's also great during bonding time with your children. So right before bed, or if they've had a rough day at school, or when you've had a physical alteration or argument, like disagreement with one of your children, especially those, maybe who are in their teenage years, geranium is a really great oil for you to kind of bring that connection back together. Last week, we talked about Douglas fir. So imagine if you were to pair that geranium with that Douglas fir for that, parental connection, or if you just want to connect with somebody special and important to you. So emotional uses, geranium is used to balance yourself while you're experiencing hormonal havoc. We're going to talk a little bit about how geranium helps you with your hormones in just a little bit. But allow yourself to remember that your realizations, feelings, and the subject of righteous indignation during this period, and let geranium assist you in gently sorting out these profound emotions. They're all good emotions to have, necessary emotions, but not good or necessary emotions for you to keep. So let go of that anger, that righteous indignation, and allow yourself to fill your cup with better things. Geranium is helpful for relieving symptoms of postpartum depression, and it's helpful when you're going through times of higher than normal irritability, or you feel weepy and cry, feel like crying. So you can help. Geranium can help you with that. Physical uses. Geranium is very helpful in treatment of mouth ulcers, and it reduces inflammation in the tissue, in the soft tissue, anywhere in your body. And it also reduces inflammation of any kind of mucous membrane. So, if you've got inflammation in your nose, sometimes, you get like a zit or something on the inside of your nose, applying a little bit of geranium on the outside, never on the inside, can really help with that inflammation. If you feel like your throat is, like feeling, tight and inflamed because of some kind of a virus, you can help with that inflammation with a little bit of geranium. Geranium has helped some children with tonsil issues as well. It's also really good for, breast soreness, for, like after nursing and during your cycle. So, geranium is also effective in hormonal balance. We'll come back to that. And it works very synergistically with clary sage and lavender to create stability in menstrual cycle for those of us who may not have access to clary calm, or maybe like clary calm, or if you want something that's a little bit more gentle, you can use that. You can also use this combination of geranium, clary sage, and lavender in between clary calm, because really you shouldn't be using clary calm all month long. You want to use it like right before and during your period. So in between that, for people who need to regulate their period, you can use this combination every once in a while. It also assists women with fertility issues, and for relief of PMS symptoms and hot flashes. In the case of hot flashes, you can add peppermint or spearmint or wintergreen or eucalyptus, because it has like that cooling effect. Geranium has been known to aid in clearing endometriosis. And we'll talk a little bit about why in just a bit. So you can massage geranium in combination with lavender, bergamot, and chamomile in a carrier oil to reduce cellulite. And we just recently did a post on cellulite on Facebook. So, you can go back and refer to that, and you can find all the other oils that you can add, in addition to geranium, or, yo-yo between geranium. So you can add geranium as a natural insect repellent, to your TerraShield, or if you want to make your own with the single oils you have, you can use geranium, eucalyptus, lavender. I feel like I'm missing one other oil, but these are the three that come to mind. And it's effective. Geranium is very, very effective and very gentle, especially for children. If you've got any kind of bite, So if it is a insect bite, spider bite, wasp sting, bee sting, you can put a bit of geranium. You can also partner that geranium with a little bit of purify or cypress, and it will work amazing. Geranium is also a really great oil for you to suggest if you have any friends who are dentists, because it actually helps with that calming effect. And dentists who are willing to diffuse oils, geranium is a really good oil for them to include in the mixture. They can add Douglas fir along with that geranium. It smells amazing. And law enforcement, if you know anybody who works with law enforcement, for them to have geranium. There have been stories of geranium helping law enforcement kind of really settle down and tone down aggression. It's good for marriage counselors, because remember we talked a little bit earlier about that, how it helps people connect. So if you know anyone who's a counselor, in schools, geranium is really good. People, phlebotomists, if they wear geranium or diffuse geranium, they're going to help their clients relax a little bit, and it will be helpful. So from a therapeutic standpoint, geranium is an analgesic, which means, it's like good for pain. Analgesic, sorry. It's antibacterial, antibiotic, anticoagulative. So it can help with blood clots and spider veins. It's a really, really awesome antidepressant if you can if you can learn to like the smell. Otherwise, you can get depressed just smelling it. I felt that way. Not really, just felt that way, but not really. It is a good anti-diabetic, antifungal, anti-inflammatory. It's a good neurotonic. So it actually helps the neurological aspect, the neurological receptors in your body. It is actually a really good deodorizer. So if you want things to smell good, you can use a little bit, small amount of geranium with like maybe bergamot or vetiver, and, it kind of helps deodorize. And if you like, and you kind of play around with the configuration, mix for a really good antiperspirant with coriander. So if you put a little bit of coriander and a little bit of geranium, and then, maybe some of those sandalwood, it really takes away that smell. You don't stink. And teenagers and gym bags and mudrooms, great. Geranium is great for that. It is also a good diuretic. So if you've got water retention, it's really good for that. It really helps regulate glandular functions, and it is awesome for skin. That's a major component. We're going to come to that in just a second. And it is a sedative. For example, people who have trauma, who have panic attacks, and for dogs even, geranium is very good for dogs, very diluted geranium. It's also good for you to maybe add it to as a rotation for your sleep. So you can use geranium with vetiver or geranium with frankincense, and kind of find oils that are a little bit lower in tone to balance out the very flowery high note of geranium if you don't enjoy it. Geranium is actually also really good for anxiety, and one of the biggest things is that it is really, really good for your adrenal function. And in association with adrenal function, wouldn't you know it, geranium is also really good for circulation, which kind of go hand in hand with adrenal function. So applying a little bit of geranium right along the butterfly of your thyroid on your neck does many things. One is it helps support that adrenal function, but because geranium also tones the skin, which we'll come to in a second, you're actually going to be tightening that skin on your throat and in your neck. And as we age, the neck muscles tend to weaken up a little bit and get a little bit less, there's less elasticity that can actually impair your breathing when you sleep. Plus it looks, it's good. It looks better when your neck is nice and toned. So, it's just applying geranium on your neck has a lot of great functions in that way. And, bring it up to your lymph and kind of give yourself a nice neck massage upward. And you can really help tighten and tone your skin and your muscles in your neck. So it is also very uplifting, and it's a vasoconstrictor. So again, varicose veins, spider veins, very, very good for that. So from a spiritual standpoint, it is wonderful for dealing with an inflamed or unbalanced situation, physically, mentally, or spiritually, or emotionally. I just recently did a presentation for domestic abuse victims, and we talked about geranium, and geranium is really, really powerful for any kind of trauma, like physical trauma. And if you have been challenged by imbalances in your body, you can take steps to kind of finding that balance. And if you're partaking in like journaling or therapy, applying geranium a little bit before and after those sessions can really help the process along. It also, when paired with lavender, facilitates healthy communication. And it helps reestablish your equilibrium. So geranium is said to bring blessings of friendship and good relationship. Offering a variety of colors, scents, and leaf patterns, geranium have been a favorite in American gardens for more than 200 years. So in lieu of being able to place a geranium in a potted plant, when you send your friend a gift or like a birthday card or a gift, just adding a drop of geranium into that is kind of like a symbolic and like an energetic way of you kind of strengthening and fostering that relationship. So it's kind of interesting, a little bit different information than what you might find from the modern essential books, but just like a slightly broadened, broader perspective of that. So there are over 250 species of geranium. And it grows all over the world, including, but not limited to, Egypt, Morocco, China, and the Middle East, and Madagascar, Ukraine, South Africa. And geranium is really a good way for you to stretch out your rose oil. So it's got very similar tones. So if you want that aromatic value of rose, you can maybe put 1 or 2 drops of geranium and then help that recipe stretch put 1 or 2 drops of rose or 1 drop of rose and help that rose recipe stretch by putting a bit of geranium in, and it will actually enhance and amplify the fragrance of the rose. So that's a neat little trick with geranium. Let's see. So uses. Historically, geranium is very, very powerful for wounds, and it encourages speedy healing. So for those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, a few months ago, I literally like chopped off most of the tip of this finger. And it was like I had to throw a piece of my finger away. That was how bad it was. And you can see that it's like pretty much the whole finger is there. There's a slight, difference between this one and this one, but barely noticeable. And I used a lot of clove and frankincense and lemongrass. I was out of helichrysum at the time, but the geranium I used helichrysum at a small amount. I used helichrysum on the first day and then was out. And for the rest of the time, used geranium. And it was amazing. If you go back and you look at like how quickly it healed, the geranium is really great for that. So helichrysum is a very expensive oil, and so if you have a situation where you would need helichrysum for a wound to stop bleeding in a case of emergency, and you have geranium at hand, use geranium first and see if that can help you. It works for me. I feel like it works almost as well as helichrysum does. You might need to add a little bit more frequently, but at the price exchange and what it does, it's comparable. It's absolutely comparable for its effect without that cost impact. So you can do that. Geranium has been also used to treat all kinds of skin conditions, bruises, minor burns, scalds, dermatitis, eczema, ulcers, and hemorrhoids. Now, it's very hard to treat hemorrhoids. You've got to be very careful with the oils that you pick. Geranium is one of the best ones. So geranium is really, really good. Head lice, which is something that, you know, a lot of us who have children, we struggle with. And my daughter, you know, she is all right with the way Melaleuca smells, but after a while, you don't want to smell like Melaleuca all the time. So you can kind of mix it up with a little bit of geranium. And it's interesting, but geranium, rosemary, and Melaleuca actually smell really good together. So, you know, we put that in her hair. She's got very long hair, and we just spray it in her hair. So it's good for also ringworm. And it's a good essential oil for all skin types. So, you know, there are people who are like, oh, you know, I can't use certain products because I've got certain kind of skin, oily, dry, combination. But geranium is the universal oil that will work with just about every skin type, as well as frankincense. So, and again, geranium, cheaper than frankincense, but it really is a wonderful skin oil, sometimes even better than frankincense. So kind of alternate and kind of use geranium as well if you're interested in kind of improving your quality of your skin. So it actually balances the production of sebum, which is the oily secretion from the sebaceous gland that helps to keep your skin supple. So that's one of my little beauty secrets. People always comment on my skin, and I'm, you know, almost 40, and you know, my skin just keeps looking better and better over time. And when I compare my skin now versus 4 years ago, it's better. It's opposite of what is normal, right? Most people's skin kind of, you know, you can see the signs of aging, and that's not been the case for me. And, you know, the use of essential oils have been, I think, instrumental in that, along with diet and water intake and all of that, of course. But, you know, I really noticed a huge difference with using the essential oils and adding geranium into that mix. So it's really good for that. It stimulates both dry and oily skin. So geranium also is a good addition to helping you stretch your oils like deep blue. Because geranium does help with easing discomfort from inflammation. So it helps, it actually has a numbing effect if you have on your nerves, if you have like nerve pain, geranium has like a numbing effect. And you can use it in a gargle in your mouthwash, because geranium really strengthens your teeth. Strengthens your gums, because what it does to your skin also does to this skin, which is your gums. So it strengthens and tones and improves the elasticity of your gums, making it stronger. It helps with receding gum lines. It keeps the inside of your mouth nice and healthy. And when you gargle with that and kind of bring it down into your throat, it's really good for people who want to strengthen their vocal cords and who maybe have, like problems or weakened vocal cords. Geranium is really good for that. So if you have a sore throat, geranium kind of helps with that as well. If you drank something or ate something, get that pizza burn, geranium is a really good one to kind of put a drop of water, if you put in a drop of water, put a drop in a glass of water, or, with some honey, and kind of put it in your mouth and let it go down your throat. It's really awesome for that. So interesting, somebody called me the other day, long-time oil user, and their very young child had drank most of a bottle of On Guard neat. And, On Guard is not good neat on your mucous membranes, and almost a half a bottle. And his 2-year-old had like severe blisters and burns in the inside of his mouth and his throat. And so I suggested using geranium. They had them they had the boy chugging, geranium. And within a few hours, he was much better. And they could actually see that what was looking like, little scalds and burns was actually almost within a few hours, it was fine. The next day, the boy woke up and he was fine. So geranium is really, really good for that. It's also good for contact dermatitis. So if, I know this sounds like weird oxymoron, but if you apply diluted geranium to the area of your skin that may be having a bad reaction or contact dermatitis, or like a reaction to the oils, the geranium will help soothe that. So use it diluted. And for some people, they get inflamed lips, from as a histamine reaction, like allergies, if they ate shrimp or peanuts, and they get that swollen lips. So geranium with a little bit of cypress, even without the cypress, will help with that. So if you like the taste of geranium, and I've grown to love the taste of geranium, I actually put geranium in my food now, like certain things, like certain desserty things. I put it in my ice cream, amazing. I've soaked my grapes in geranium, and it gives it that little like flowery flavor along with wild orange. So geranium is actually kind of interesting if you put it in a bit of honey and water, and you mix it up and drink it as a tea. It's really good as a good tonic. And it actually helps cleanse your urinary function and your liver. So it's a good one for you if you want to use it at night, right before you fall asleep. You can try making yourself a little geranium and lavender and clove and ginger tea for this time of year, because the clove and the ginger are nice and warming. So you can try that. And studies indicate that geranium oil is an effective insecticide against dust mites, and some species of termites and beetles. So you can put some geranium oil in vegetable glycerin and shake, and then fill it with water, and then you can spray it on carpets, bed linens, and on your rugs or whatever to deter dust mites. I like doing that in the fall, because that's when the fall and winter, when we have everything shut up, it's kind of creates that dust mite issue. So you can put the geranium in during the winter months, especially as part of your cleaning routine. I think we talked a little bit about how it helps with hormones, but it is really one of the best women's oils. So if you have any kind of hormonal issue, menstrual issue, tissue, or breast tenderness, geranium is a really good oil for that. And it is uplifting and calming, and particularly useful for women. It also eases depression and nervous tension for those who are going through menopause. So geranium is well known for three main things. Let me see. Let me find my notes here. If I had to just summarize, I'm going to look for those notes in just a second here. But what I have in front of me is what geranium combines well with. So if you are having a little bit of distaste with the way geranium smells, you can do a few things. One, you can apply geranium on the bottom of your feet and put some socks on. This is the best time of year for you to find those oils you do not like the way, do not like the smell of, and use those on the bottom of your feet with a roller bottle, so you don't even have to touch it, and put those socks on and get those emotional benefits from those oils. Geranium, if that's one of your triggers, use that right now. Get it, put it in a roller bottle, roll it on your feet, put socks on, don't even smell it, and use it for at least 2 to 3 weeks and see how you feel when you come back to it. But if you do want to use it in other ways, like in your sugar scrub or in your lotion, geranium combines well with bergamot, lavender, basil, rosemary, black pepper, neroli or melaleuca, sandalwood, juniper berry, lemon, patchouli, jasmine, orange, lime, tangerine, grapefruit, citrus bliss, balance, clary sage, coriander, petitgrain, and vetiver. So okay, let me see if I can find these notes I'm looking for. So, yeah, okay, so here are some ways that you can use geranium. I'm just going to go through like bullet points, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it in a post on Facebook. But geranium can also, in a nutshell, geranium can relieve stress and fatigue. It can increase mental function. So along with the stress-busting action, geranium can actually improve mental function. So it's really good for people who are maybe finding that the mental capacity is being diminished. Sometimes we call it mommy brain. Sometimes it is like actually a precursor to certain diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or dementia. So, to stimulate that brain, it's good for that. So also, if you have children who have focus issues, geranium is a great oil, to help with that. For it improves mental function. And the presence of a toxic deposit called amyloid plaques in the brain tissue is a marker for Alzheimer's, and geranium is really good at removing those. So that's another really cool thing. Geranium oil is detoxifying. And so many toxins from our body enter our body through our food and through our skin and through our respiratory system during metabolic function. So some of these toxins are eliminated through the digestive tract, and some of it is filtered out by the kidney and eliminated during, through urine. So geranium helps facilitate not only the removal of the toxic substance, but also in the strengthening and the function of the kidney and the liver. So use geranium or xendocrine, which geranium is, I think there's geranium in xendocrine. So that's another good thing about geranium. Geranium can also it's also very strongly antimicrobial. So don't be afraid to add a little bit of geranium in your cleaning supplies. And geranium is also excellent for skincare. So I'm going to pause for a second and talk a little bit about skincare. We talked about how it's great for all kinds of skin, but it's also extremely good to tone and, for the elasticity, for fine lines and wrinkles. We talked about how geranium is a cheaper version for frankincense, but here's something else that geranium does that frankincense cannot do, that it tightens loose skin. So if you know anybody who's gone through like gastric bypass or who's lost a lot of weight, or we're getting a little bit older and we're getting a little bit more, flabby and want to tone that skin up, add geranium into your body wash, into your sugar scrub, into your lotion. Make it a part of your massage and apply it along with maybe Slim and Sassy in a spray, and kind of wrap. I like to put my t-shirt down and then use one of those exercise belts and put that around. And when I'm like cleaning the house, so it's like dual function. I'm like killing cellulite and cleaning my house at the same time. And if you want to add a little bit extra stuff to that, you can add coriander as well, or fennel. But geranium is really good for like toning and tightening that skin. And, I really like using that a lot. So fine lines and wrinkles are formed when there's a damage to the collagen due to aging, sun exposure, or the action of chemicals and mechanical wear and tear. So the astringent effect of geranium oil will help tighten skin and give it a smoother texture. So geranium can also improve not just skin tone, but also muscle tone. So if you want to kind of tone up some muscles, and for women, I mean, it's not a bad oil to add into your regimen for, your daily, breast care. I like using a little bit of frankincense, and I like to keep, I'm a little bit well endowed, so I use grapefruit as well, kind of tone that thing down, and use a little bit of geranium. So geranium actually does help in facilitating weight loss. So if you want to kind of find a way to amplify or to support that Slim and Sassy, use that geranium. So again, geranium has a hormone balancing effect. It can be used to amplify or to companion your pain relief solutions. Geranium is also a natural bug repellent, and we talked about that. So that's, I have so much more, but I'm running out of time. So I'm going to pause for a second and maybe see if anybody has any questions for me. Sharon, I know that you came in later. in the call, and I know you don't like geranium. So can I start with you? Tell me a little bit about what's going on with geranium with you.
Sure. Well, I don't know. I guess I just don't like the smell of it. To me, it's really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a way I can tone it down,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that would help.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught, but we talked a little bit about some of the oils that can help tone it down. And when I post a recording for this, we talk a little bit about what it does emotionally. And I was not a fan of geranium. I absolutely abhorred the way it smelled. I think I almost cried when I opened my bottle of geranium because I thought, what a waste of money.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never going to use this, but I do use it now, and I really enjoy it. And I tell my story a little bit there, and I read from the emotions book on what the geranium oil does. Maybe it's something that resonates with you because it was absolutely me, to a T. It was what I needed, but I wouldn't have found that. I wouldn't have been able to articulate that was what I needed, even if I had the best counselor in the world, because some things you don't even know until you see it, and you go, oh yeah, right, that's me, and that was my situation. And so maybe take my suggestion and put the geranium in a roller bottle so you don't even have to touch it, right? And just roll it on your feet and then put socks on and go about your day. And just do that, and just maybe try that for 2 to 3 weeks straight. Don't even try to smell it. Don't try and like it. Just use it that way. And then come back to it and see if it's more tolerable to you.
Okay, so if I put that in a roller bottle, would I put any fractionated coconut oil or anything with it, or just straight?
I mean, I would use it with fractionated coconut oil,
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a better way for you to utilize this oil, because it's going to make the bottom of your feet, the skin on the bottom of your feet, amazing.
Okay.
Right? So
I'll try it.
Let's keep as much of the geranium for when you like it. And also the hydrating cream has geranium, and that was my gateway to geranium. I really liked the way the hydrating cream smelled, and was surprised that there was geranium in it. So that's another way that you can try and see if you like it. And maybe I can send you a sample of hydrating cream so you can see if that's something,
Okay.
before you spend $34 on it, Yeah, let me send you a sample. Just shoot me a reminder tomorrow morning. I'm doing some mailings, so I'll make sure I pop that in the post for you.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Let me move then to you, Maggie.
I myself was like you when I first got geranium. I didn't like it. This was a waste of money. I now love it. I love it for so many reasons. The emotions book, the negative emotions hits is our foster boy to a T. I put it on his heart almost every day, like when I remember. And we've seen tremendous improvement just for the few months he's been here. I have a roller of geranium and peas. I put on the kids quite often. It's one of my favorite oils. Blends, rollers. But wow, the notes that I just took also all the new things I did not know about geranium. I noticed today that I'm very low on geranium, and I'm going to be ordering probably 2 more bottles of it.
Yeah, it's an oil that I go. It smells very summery, but I feel like I'm drawn to geranium a lot more during the winter. It's almost like I need it.
Yeah.
A little bit more during the colder months. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I have so much more notes. I mean, like seriously, like geranium is like, and it's weird, but the only other oil that really rivals geranium in like weird information for me is ginger, which I think will wait, and because it's heavy. Like I'm like, I might need like 3 calls. But
Yeah.
a lot with geranium, and can't wait to share it with you guys. I'll put it in a post soon. But
Yeah.
thank you all for being on this call. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the evening routine. So if you can join us, that'd be great. So thank you all so much for being here with me. And I love you all very much. And I'm so glad that you're on this journey with me. There are so many things that these oils can do for you. And I am, after 4 years, still floored. The oils still amaze me. They still surprise me. And just when I think that I have hit the ultimate level of whatever you want to call it, I just discover something new about myself and about others and about the beauty of the architecture of this perfect design that is our planet, and how there's so much that we don't even understand, or have not given ourselves permission to accept. But I believe that no matter what you believe, whether you're a religious person or a spiritual person, or even if you don't believe in God and believe in science, this amazing design, it's so inclusive. Everything that we need is here for us through plants. Everything. All we need to do is be patient and committed and convicted enough to honor that connection and give it a chance for our bodies to respond to it. Because for as long as we have not used essential oils in our body, and then our parents and them, they haven't used the oils or haven't used the therapeutic plants, that's like how much the oils have to bridge. That's how much work they have to do in order for us to even begin to feel that full connection. So don't wait until there's something wrong. Don't write this off as something that isn't working. Because I'll tell you, if you're not sleeping well, if you have digestive issues, if you have depression, if you have skin conditions, if you are hurting for no good reason, it didn't happen overnight. It did not happen overnight, and it's not just because of one reason. And there are so many reasons why those things could be happening, that you could be, that you have to give yourself the chance to come into this full cycle of finding that root, because it's not just one reason. And a lot of times you might be the one that's in your way, and the oils have a way of getting even you out of the way of what is best for you. It is a complete and utter involuntary support in every aspect: spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, energetically. So thank you so much for allowing me to share with you a little bit of my obsession. And I hope that you will continue to let me guide you. I want to thank you all so much for your time. Continue to use your oils and continue to embrace the awe that they can bring into your life. Thank you very much. Have a great week.